Okay. So the next thing to do might be to connect the strip controller up to something. What would be a good one for that? Okay, so there's this number 8 here. It's called LFO rate, but it's doing a kind of pitch thing. So I'm going to connect the strip controller up to number 8. Go back to the configure window. Strip controller number 1 along the top, the first column. And control 8 is the 8th row down. So I just put a tick in the box where strip controller 1 meets control 8. Okay, now let's go back to the alchemy window. Let's zoom in a bit on. Okay, so I've got the. Do you want to put it on?
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you can. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Oh. Okay, so. So you can see like it's at rest when I've set the mouse in the middle, so when I play normally, just staying in the middle, I hold down a note, I can start at the bottom and go up and it will move up, or I can start at the top and go down and it will move down. The screen doesn't seem to be responding.
It might just be moving too quickly.
Okay.
We have had some problems with the screen going across, so it might just be moving too quickly.
Okay, well there we go. Anyway, so that's connected up to that. You may have noticed. Okay, so next we have key, pressure, roll, and yaw. So this is also good. Obviously, the keys of the Pico move in three different axes. We can also set it so, like, for example, the left and right movement of the keys is controlling one of these things on the screen. It's actually quite good to do it with these XY pads, because the XY pads are basically a kind of 2D example of the keys.
Just turn the Pico up a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to connect up the keys to the XY pad. XY pad, you can see on the back in the configure window. XY pad 1X, so that's the kind of left-right movement, I guess. I want to connect that to the key yaw. On the Pico, pressure is the kind of in-out, so the harder I press the key, that's pressure. Roll is the up-down, so that's what's normally connected to pitch. And yaw is the left and right, so this way. The x-axis on the XY pad is kind of left and right, so I'm going to connect that to yaw. So I look at where key yaw, number 5, meets the XY pad X, put a tick in there. And then the y-axis, I want to be the roll of the key, the up and down movement. So XY pad 1Y, I'm going to put a tick in the box where key roll meets the y-axis of the XY pad. Go back to alchemy so we can see, and then so basically now, hopefully you can see that. So zoom in a little bit more. So now as I move my key about, doesn't seem to be. Oh. So now I'm moving my key about, and I'm basically controlling that XY pad just by moving the single key about. Doesn't look like it's updating on your screens though. It is on mine.
It might be. It's because it's going over the internet, so it might just be a bit too fast for it to update. It's a bit juddery.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So anyway, so there we go. We've connected. So we've looked at the breath controller, the strip controller, the different movement of the keys. Now the final one is there's the strip controller 1, but if you look at number 6, that's called absolute strip. So there's different ways that the strip controller can work. First of all, this is relative mode, which is the normal mode. So in the normal mode, it's the same as it works. So I play a key, and then you can put your finger any. Oh, it's off that. So you can put your finger anywhere on here, and you can. So I can start at the bottom and move up, or I can start there and move down, or I can start in the middle and kind of go up and down. But wherever I first put my finger doesn't affect the sound when I first put it there. If I was using absolute strip, what I could do is literally just move my finger about and the sound would jump around. So let's try that. So I'm going to go back to my configure window and try and explain the difference. So you can see at the moment I've got control 8 connected to strip controller 1. I'm going to untick that, so I'm going to press that and the tick will go away. And then I'm going to go, and instead of putting it in via strip controller 1, I'm going to go to absolute strip, number 6, and put a tick there. Okay, and then if you take that off the screen again. So now I've got it connected up to absolute rather than relative. I can... So it's absolute. Whenever I put my finger here, it's always going to be the same pitch. So I can go... So you can see it's kind of like jumping about depending on where I put my finger. So this is good, and it's quite good sometimes to combine, like use the normal relative mode of the strip controller for one thing and absolute for another, and you can get quite a lot of different things out of just one controller. You can like have one effect happen when you put your finger there and move it up, but also another effect just when you jump it about. There's all sorts you can do with that. Okay. Okay, I think, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to cover.
Oh.
Yeah, is that all right? Yeah. Actually, no, I don't. I'm going to do one more. Okay, so that's Alchemy. I'm just quickly show you like some third-party plugins that aren't ours.
Just before we go on to Alchemy, is there any way to tie the breath controller into the velocity for those AUs that don't have a volume effect?
Is there any way?
Is there any way to tie the breath controller? Is this the same
guy that wrote this?
No, this is someone. Not yet, John said.
Not yet. No, there isn't, unfortunately.
No.
But we are looking at that.
But we did also have that question about pitch. Did you?
Can you disable the pitch on key on sound fonts? Yes, you can, but that is something that involves a bit of bel canto and using the Eigen commander. We're going to be doing a... in fact, we looked at that in the first seminar.
Right, which is on
YouTube.
Which is on our wiki page as well, under the seminars heading. So you can watch that seminar back under that. That was tweaking
the sound fonts. Yeah. So it was based on the Alpha and Tau, but the same principle applies to the Pico as well. So we looked at turning the pitch off on the sound fonts and also pitch curves and various things to do with like editing the sound fonts. So it's worth watching that. So I really quickly wanted to show you. Oh, sorry, what was this one?
No, that was it.
That was it. Yeah. Okay. So just look at because some of you might have third-party audio units as well that you already own. So I'm going to just quickly load in another sound as a reminder how I did that. So I'm going to Instrument and Effects Controls. So that's hold down the mode key, Course 1, number 4. And then we've got this blank key in the top left. That's our sub-mode key. This is where I'm choosing which instrument I want to edit. So I hold that down and I choose a key. I'm going to go for Audio Unit 2, which is the 5th instrument down if I'm choosing a sound. So I'm going to hold that key down, choose number 5, which is Audio Unit 2. That should go green. I let go. Okay, again, it's the 3rd key down on Course 2. So I hit this key. If we look at my Eigen browser, it says at the top, browsing Audio Unit 2. And I've got the list again of sounds. I just wanted to show you something that we don't ship with. So we've got, I'll choose an Arturia sound. Arturia makes some amazing emulations of old synthesizers. Personal favorite is the CS80. So you choose the CS80, and then here's my window. So this is what some of these things can look like. I load a preset. So up in the corner here, this is where I choose my presets. Let's go for some kind of lead sound. I suppose it doesn't matter. What's this 5th one? Okay, so I've chosen a preset from there. I go to play the instrument, mode key number 5. Okay, so here we go. I just wanted to show you the difference between the configure windows because the way the audio units list their different parameters is dependent on them, not us. So Alchemy, we have Control 1, Control 2 through to 8, and then XY Pad 1, and that's all very nicely labelled, which is great. This one is slightly harder. Okay, so we've got. So I know I've got my filter cutoff here. Hopefully you can see that. I'll zoom in a bit. So we've got. Okay, so there's that one there. So I'm going to connect the breath controller to this fader here. So I zoom out. I click on my configure window. Okay, here's the configure window for the CS80. And then you can see along the left, they've done their best, Arturia, but we've got all these crazy names for things. I know that it's S1 frequency low, but you can basically see that every single fader on the front of this panel here in the CS80 window is listed along the side, along here, and there's many, many of them. So this is how it works for most, for a lot of plugins. So you have to kind of go through. I know it's kind of a frequency low one, so I'm going to put a tick there, breath controller controlling that cutoff frequency. Go back to the CS80. Okay, and then so there we go. Yeah, I can set it at different places with the mouse. So if I put it up the top, it's always up, but then I can breathe in. Or I set it in the middle and it's kind of halfway up. And I can breathe out to make it hot. I can breathe in to make it go. So there we go. Yeah, so that's the principle. It applies. The same principle applies to all these different plugins. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So I think we've come on to question time now. So I think you actually had some pre-submitted questions.
Yes.
So we'll go through those first before we go on to kind of open questions, I think.
Okay, so a couple of questions from Jose. First one is, he wants to know how to use multiple audio outputs for each sampler, AU or cello. Okay, so this is a good question. At the moment, we don't have any way of accessing more than one output. So at the moment, we only have a stereo output out of Eigenharp. However, this is in the pipeline. I believe the software guys are working on this at the moment. I wouldn't like to say how long it will be, but there will soon be a feature where you'll be able to send each instrument out of its own output and then use that how you want. The next question was addressing the various controllers, roll your pressure to AU and or samplers. I think that's basically what we just did. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that's cool. And then next one, hi. Okay, he'd like to, but this one was about the using the breath controller. So actually, this is what this guy just asked here. Right. So his question was, is there any way of using the breath controller to control the volume of the sound in a similar way to our built-in clarinet? The only thing that I can suggest for this one is that the audio unit plugins, the best way to do it is to turn off the velocity sensitivity inside the plugin. So and then connect it to volume. So and then connect the breath to volume. So I know that's working a little bit like a volume pedal. We have also got something in the pipeline, which this is why John said no, not yet. Is there'll be some way soon of like triggering the velocity with your breath in a more kind of more intelligent way. But at the moment, generally what we do is use the breath controller as a kind of volume pedal, so connect the breath to like a volume or a filter inside the audio unit, and then most audio units have a way of turning off the velocity sensitivity.